我哋夠鐘又夠法定人數，咁我哋今日可以開會啦。我哋或者先請政府當局嗰啲代表進入會議室先啦，唔該。早晨啊，各位。咁我都等你哋坐低先啦。早晨 ，Good morning。Morning。我早晨我介紹下今日政府當局嘅代表啦，有阿張首席助理秘書長，金管局處置機制辦公室嘅主管 Mr. Eamon Wright， 又係處置機構辦公室嘅Mr. Robert Pobin， 仲有律政司法律草擬科嘅高級政府律師阿朱女士，同埋亦都係金管局處置機制辦公室嘅陳劍儀女士嚇。咁而家我諗呢，首先我哋第一樣嘢呢，就係政府當局呢就回應咗我哋上一次11月23號會議討論嘅各項問題。咁我諗呢，有需要請當局先介紹下你哋嘅回應，好唔好啊？咁係邊位？張秘書長。
幾句先。好，
唔該。
多謝主席，多謝各位委員。咁我相信喺前兩次會議呢，我哋都討論咗即係不單止係呢一個LAC 嘅規則，亦都係議員或者委員同埋好多業界代表係關注嗰個實務守則裏邊嘅一啲具體內容。咁因為個實務守則其實金管局正喺度進行緊諮詢，雖然個諮詢期未完，但係都有一啲意見係比較明確地收到翻嚟。咁所以呢，金管局亦都好想即係喺現階段就同大家即係都簡單回應一下佢哋嗰個意向。咁我而家請Mr. White 可以有少少具體嘅回應。
Eamon, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the last session and the questions from members and from industry. And with the administration, the HKMA has reflected on those points and would like to highlight a couple of key points from our written response circulated yesterday, which I hope they're explicitly designed to address the feedback and concerns expressed by legislative members in our last two sessions. So the first key point I'd like to highlight relates to the authorised institutions that are within scope of the LAC rules. So the key point here is that no AI will be automatically subject to the loss absorbing capacity requirements under the rules or the LAC Code of Practice chapter. It is only where the failure of an AI is expected to pose a risk to financial stability, including to depositors, that it would be subject to LAC requirements. Now, on the threshold set out in the draft LAC Code of Practice that we have previously discussed, the Monetary Authority, as resolution authority for AIs, now intends to increase the total consolidated asset threshold from the currently proposed 150 billion Hong Kong dollars to 300 billion Hong Kong dollars when finalising the LAC Code of Practice chapter after the consultation. On timeline, the Resolution Authority confirms that, excluding the non-Chinese globally systemically important banks or GSIBs, the earliest at which any domestic systemically important bank or DSIB will be required to meet the LAC requirements is the 1st of January 2022, and the earliest at which non-DSIBs will be required to meet the LAC requirements is the 1st of January 2023. So where the Resolution Authority determines that an entity will not be able to meet its LAC requirements to this timetable, the RA has the flexibility to consider allowing a longer implementation period on a case-by-case basis. Fourthly, on minimum debt requirement, following an ongoing dialogue with industry, the Resolution Authority proposes to permit eligible additional Tier 1 capital instruments to count towards the minimum debt requirement under the LAC rules, whether accounted for as debt or equity. And finally, with respect to the review timeline for the LAC Code of Practice chapter, the resolution authority can confirm that he intends to undertake a review of the forthcoming LAC Code of Practice chapter no later than 3 years after its introduction. So they're the key points I'd just like to flag for LegCo members' attention this morning, and happy to take any questions on the wider response. Thank you.
好，而家咧，我諗就請委員可以就政府當局嘅回應發問。咁第一位係阿梁繼昌委員，跟住我見到阿張華峰委員、阿姚思榮委員、陳健波議員都有問題嘅。咁第一個先，梁繼昌議員，我諗可以俾大家8分鐘啊。如果咁，你可以少過8分鐘嘅嚇。
多謝主席。I think I would like to address the questions, concentrating on the reply this time. I think generally we welcome the changes made to the various aspects of the LAC rules. First question is about the review. You mentioned that a review will be done no less than 3 or at most 3 years from now on, from the implementation date. But however, I would like to ask specifically whether you will undertake to do a regular review on a 3-year basis. Because I think various factors would have changed within 3 years or within a 3-year period, including market share, including the general economic climate, including economic growth as well. So, first of all, I would like to have a very clear undertaking from the authority that such review will be done regularly on a 3-year basis. And I would also like to have some sort of guarantee or some sort of guideline, the direction of the review. If a review is done just as a matter of review, because you would like to tell people that you've done a review, that's of no use. I would also like the authority to elaborate to us what aspects of, what direction would the review be taken to address what kind of problem in this review. Thank you.
Okay. Who will address the issues raised by Honourable Leung?
Yeah. So thanks very much for the question. As you'll know, the current draft of the COP that's out for consultation commits to keep the text under review. And today we're happy to commit to do a review within 3 years. And to the point that the member requests, I think we're also happy to say that we will do a review every 3 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In terms of the type of review that we will conduct, I think what this will involve is a consideration of all key aspects of the code of practice based on the experience that from our resolution planning with individual firms in Hong Kong and international and domestic policy developments. And then we would expect to then do an industry consultation like we are doing now on material changes.
Sorry, what kind of consultation you are going to undertake?
An industry consult. So currently the code of practice is under an industry consultation. Mm-hmm. So we engage with industry, we publish the draft COP on our website. Mm-hmm. And what we're proposing is to repeat that process every 3 years.
Before the review, you would undertake a public consultation. That is your promise as well, right?
Subtle difference between industry and public consultation. To reassure you, for us, an industry consultation, we publish the draft document on our website, mm-hmm. and then we engage with banking associations and individual banks to get their feedback. Yeah.
So before you are going to conduct a review, you will have a industry consultation. Is my understanding correct?
As part of the review.
Yeah, we would do that as part of the review of the COP.
As part of the review?
Yeah.
So why don't you also undertake a public consultation as well? Because I do think, because depositors and the general public would like to know, of course, I mean, most general public would not be very interested in these matters. But aside from bankers, perhaps I think credit rating agencies, perhaps No. I thought, okay. Financial analysts and other professionals will also be interested in the exercise as well. And if it is not too troublesome, and I should not think that would be a problem, because if you publish a draft or something for the industry, you may as well do it and ask for the public to comment on it as well. Although I should think the general public would not be too keen, but it just create a more transparent, increased transparency, and of course your work will be more accountable to the public. That is my view. Okay.
Eamon, I think you better to introduce Hong Kong MA's practice all along. Whether this kind of consultation will be conducted in a public way or just an industry consultation. So you have to explain a little bit more, please.
So, exactly. So I think the HKMA's typical practice for across supervisory and resolution guidance on standards that banks need to comply with, whether it's under a supervisory SPM under the BO or a code of practice under the FIRO, is to conduct an industry consultation. So that's our normal practice. So I think to depart from that and engage in a public consultation on guidelines would be a departure from HKMA's normal practice. However, I think from a resolution perspective, we welcome engagement from a wide set of participants. That's why we publish the draft documents, the draft code of practice, on our website during the consultation period. And to reassure you, in terms of the wider set of stakeholders that participate in the market, we also engage with them during the consultation period. You mentioned rating agencies, other market participants, those who support and advise banks on debt capital markets issuance. Through the consultation period, our normal practice is to engage with those bodies. For example, they're another typical group who we maintain our active dialogue with on a regular basis, and in particular during consultation periods.
Okay, may I raise one more question?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you for your explanation. But I would like to raise a wider issue. Maybe the Bureau can answer this question. Code of practices are issued by many regulators, typically MA and also the SFC. I would just like to know whether the SFC follow a similar consultation period when they want to revise a code or to publish a code. Is it the industry route or the public route? I mean, I just want to have a comparison between the two, although you are different regulators, but if that is the norm, then I would have no intention unless there is a real reason to change that kind of approach. Thank you.
Well, I think this is a wider question that we can address outside this subcommittee, but I'm happy to take it back and give the Honourable Mr. Leung reply later on.
Okay,
thank you. That's my questions for the moment.
OK， 我就想 follow up 下梁議員嘅問題嘅其中一部分呢，就係話金管局會每3年去重檢一次啦。咁但係呢，我有個 observation 呢，其實香港嘅 market 呢，而家越嚟越多，無論內地嘅金融機構或者其他國際嘅金融機構都會嚟嘅。咁即係話呢，我哋個 market 嘅 size 呢，可能隨住個時間咧會越嚟越大嘅，咁我哋而家呢次咧就 set 咗係3000億嘅總資產啦。咁如果我哋嘅 market size 越嚟越大咧，而家我哋3000億大約 roughly 就係 1.2% 嘅 total banking asset。咁我起碼覺得呢個 1.2 呢個百分比咧，應該係將來重檢嗰時冇理由重檢會低於 1.2 咯。即係話譬如將來個 market size 大咗啦，咁3000億可能只係佔 0.5 或者 0.4， 咁到時我哋就要 review 3000億去翻去 1.2 嗰個門檻。咁我唔知呢個 concept 你哋會唔會擺入你哋每3年嗰個重檢裏邊咯。
Sure, I'm happy to let my colleague Rob also contribute. So there's a set of factors that we've set out in our consultation draft in the rules and in the code of practice that have informed the drawing of the line. And percentage of the market represented in terms of banking assets has been one factor, but there's been a range of other more important factors. And they relate to the nature of the activities that the banks carry out, the numbers of depositors, the nature of depositors, the number of unprotected balances, and the challenge in applying different types of resolution tools while protecting public funds. So in addition to the factor that you mentioned about relationship between banking assets and market size overall, I think we have been very clear that there are other factors that the Resolution Authority also needs to consider in ensuring that Hong Kong banks can be resolved in an orderly way if they fail.
Robert, please.
So while of course the ratio of the threshold to total banking assets is one measure of how important that threshold is, it's also the case that in Hong Kong the ratio of banking assets to the size of the economy as a whole is significantly larger than in any other major international financial market. So in our responses actually to the LegCo questions raised at the previous subcommittee meeting, we also draw out a comparison with the size of the economy's GDP. And there we see that in Hong Kong, 300 billion is higher than 10% of Hong Kong's annual GDP. Whereas by comparison, the assets of the smallest institutions covered by loss-absorbing capacity requirements in Japan, the UK, and the US constitute 7.3, 0.75, and 1.3% of their GDPs respectively. So when measured against GDP, actually this threshold proposed now in Hong Kong is significantly above the comparable threshold in those other major jurisdictions.
OK， 咁下一位張華峰議員，唔該。
多謝主席。首先呢，我哋都好歡迎呢，即係政府當局呢從善如流啊！即係經過我哋即係上一次嘅會議嘅即係建議啊、討論啊，佢哋作出咧即係迅速嘅反應，咁亦都將即係嗰個門檻咧由1500億咧去到3000億嘅。咁我哋覺得呢個3000億，正如我講嘅，我提到3000至4000億呢度咧嘅數字差唔多，所以我哋覺得呢次修改咧對個中小企係有一定嘅幫助，亦都減低佢哋營運嘅成本。但係事實上咧，我哋呢個條例咧，本嚟咧就係咧要即係防止大到不能倒嘅呢個銀行嘅體系出現問題嘅時候點樣做？但係咧就因為我哋個諮詢不足，可能咧搞到所有嘅細嘅銀行都會牽涉在內，所以有出現咗呢次咁嘅即係討論啦，係咪？咁當然啦，呢次嗰個提到3000億咁啊。大家都覺得應該喺呢個時間咧，就應該係對我哋嘅中小企係有一定嘅幫助。咁頭先梁繼昌議員都講過，喂呢個咁嘅政策措施會唔會延續到證監會嗰度咧？咁其實我今日咧，即係呢次咁緊張咧，我都即係受到咧證監會有一啲條例咧，佢係管大行，但係都管埋我哋咧中小企，令到我哋咧即係無端端咧受到好大嘅資金壓力。咁呢啲咧係點解我今日即係呢2次會議咁緊張睇就睇呢樣嘢嘅啫。咁嗱嗰個我想咧即係喺規則之後，我哋定咗已經提到呢個3000億啦，時間亦都係褪後咗2年啦。咁呢個原則上我哋係受落嘅，但係喺嗰個遲啲喺嗰個守則嗰方面咧。會唔會即係政府又玩呢啲官方嘅語言啊、文字遊戲啊？喺個守則嗰度會唔會再嚟一次即係諮詢我哋業界咧，令到呢個規則係通過守則亦都滿意，咁呢嗰個大到不能倒呢個議題至會即係覺得係比較完美嘅結束同埋完美嘅解決咧嚇。咁呢個係第一個問題，即係會唔會再諮詢業界？喺個守則嗰方面，第二咧，文件都寫咗咧，3年之後再討論嗰個3000億嘅。咁我想問下嗰個重新考慮檢討嘅時候咧，嗰啲基準放喺邊度？會唔會考慮咧通脹啊、個市佔率啊、自然增長啊，係用啲乜嘢嘅標準去3年後呢個討論嘅標準，會唔會將呢個3000億再隨着個經濟發展而提高咗嗰個3000億嘅界限呢？唔該，2個問題。
好，係咪張秘書長你答？
清張議員提及呢個證券業，咁今次呢一個規則同埋實務守則都係針對銀行界嘅，咁所以我哋暫時未有計劃進一步去到證券業做一個相關嘅規則，呢個可以請個張議員暫時唔使有呢一個擔心。另外呢，就係頭先張議員亦都提到呢，就係嗰個守則，我相信係講緊實務守則嗰個諮詢。其實嗰個諮詢期而家都仲未完嘅。咁頭先金管局所作個回應呢，就係雖然諮詢期未完，但係因為有啲意見已經收到好明確，咁佢哋亦都想即係提早俾一個意向，等業界知道嗰個到時到諮詢完咗之後，佢哋嗰個取態會係點樣樣。咁至於嗰個實務守則呢，頭先金管局同事都承諾呢，就係3年之內會有一個檢討啦，而之後每3年亦都做一個檢討，而檢討過程之中呢，亦都會同業界做溝通同埋諮詢嘅。咁所以我相信有啲乜嘢嘅意見，或者係如果佢哋係到時嗰個考慮因素係包含啲乜嘢部分嘅話，業界可以有充分嘅機會同佢哋溝通嘅。多謝主席。
主席，即係我都有啲擔心啊。雖然呢嗰個規則即係已經定咗啦，3000億定咗啦，延期咗2年都定咗啦，但喺細節嗰度呢，會唔會又出現一啲問題呢？令到呢個3000億同埋2年嗰個褪後嘅執行期呢，又增添咗一啲所謂呢一啲比較嚴厲嘅呢個守則，令到呢個頭先我哋改變咗3000億同時間嗰度又增添咗一啲困難，令到嗰個銀行又遇到一個營業上或者其他方面嘅不利嘅嘢，咁又要再重新再睇過。咁我所以覺得呢，即係話呢個守則嗰陣時呢，應該充分體現到3000億同埋 delay 2年呢個原則，咁就會即係我覺得呢樣嘢就會好啲啦嚇。
等我即係演繹下啦。阿張議員嘅意思即係話呢，嗱而家嗰個守則就未過諮詢期，12月3號。咁你哋喺呢個文件度呢，就答應咗，但係呢啲都係一個大框架嚟㗎嘛。咁到你哋出嗰個最終嘅守則嗰時候呢，可能有啲魔鬼細節呢，就未能夠完全符合到業界嘅期望啊！即係可能你呢度係寫咗咁，但係嗰度呢，除咗咁之外呢，話乜咁，佢驚有啲細節呢會未必能夠符合。咁啊，張議員呢，隱就覺得你哋呢一次嘅修改，你擺咗入原來嗰個守則，因為個守則而家仲係諮詢期未完啦，咁你又冇理由會改你嗰個 draft 噶嘛？咁但係你後尾嗰個擺落去嗰個呢，已經係變咗大家又冇第二次機會去表達意見啦。咁點樣可以喺呢兩者嘅一個 gap 之間呢，可以做得比較更加好呢？我嘅理解啊，張議員嘅意思係咁。
我試下解答。因為其實嗰個實務守則呢，個草擬嗰個草稿呢已經公布咗。咁但係當然就住一啲大家好關注嘅部分呢，就我哋已經有一個比較清晰嘅意向。咁至於其餘大家冇表達有關注嘅部分，咁我相信如果冇特別嘅意見的話呢，亦都冇特別需要去作出任何更改。咁所以即係而家我相信金管局同事可以再補充少少，就係而家嗰個態度呢，基本上就係實務守則，大家有意見嘅部分，而我哋亦都覺得個意見相當明確，我哋未必需要等到諮詢期完都可以同大家溝通。我哋即係金管局而家目前嗰個意向，咁呢個就係而家做緊嘅嘢。至於其餘即係大家都一路都冇表達有即係什麼特別關注嘅細節，咁我睇唔到有啲咩需要係要處理嗰啲部分咯。可以請金管局同事再講講。
Amen.
Briefly, I think maybe one key point is that the HKMA in running the consultation process needs to act reasonably. Otherwise, we expose ourselves to the risk of judicial review for departing from the management of an appropriately reasonable consultation process. So the consultation document that was published reflects the MA's views. We will take into account reasonable points that have been raised during the consultation process. We can't change our position without good reason. So we're setting out today the changes that we think are reasonable, and we'll reflect those. But if we were to change another part of the COP outside that consultation process, that could potentially create some risks for the MA, which we will definitely want to avoid. So I think the changes in the code of practice will be those that limited to those that we've talked about so far and agreed to make.
OK， 咁我下一位委員，如果再有其他問題，大家有第二輪嘅嚇。姚思榮議員，唔該。
多謝主席。就呢個規則本身原意咧，就係對嗰啲大到不行到嘅銀行咧作出有關嘅規定要求嘅。咁但係政府就突然間就轉咗啦嚇，為咗保障香港嘅金融嘅安全啦，所以將佢定到1500億。咁但係呢個做法咧，我覺得又係一個即係叫做使到啲中小銀行咧帶嚟壓力嘅。即係始終你中小銀行嗰個經營成本啊，各方面啦，佢都要計數噶嘛。你作為官方決定嘢，梗係容易啦，但係做咧做死人哋嘅。所以政府回應咗而家係3000億啦。但我覺得3000億呢個數咧，都係要我想清楚問下咧，會影響到幾多銀行？因為之前1800億咧，絕大部分銀行會受影響。但係3000億之後，你有冇計過咧？現時香港銀行會因此咁樣受影響有幾多咧？咁樣如果你都係大部分受影響，即係你個措施係即係作用不大。第二咧，就如果按照3000億呢個標準，其他國家地區佢哋係點樣去釐定呢個標準？譬如新加坡咁樣嚇，或者歐洲嘅國家係點樣釐定嘅標準？呢個標準係咪偏高係偏低？咁起碼大家都有個即係準則啦，係咪？另外就係有關3年後檢討個問題。3年檢討，你哋係想向上調定向下調？即係個資產總值係咪？如果你係目標向上調，你梗係有一個即係準則㗎嘛？係咪？譬如話呢3年係冇乜銀行出問題，佢哋嗰個守則嘅做法都係按規矩做，咁你哋繼續向上調，咁盡量減輕咗銀行壓力，銀行亦會向呢個守則嘅要求去努力，做好你哋嘅要求。咁樣大家嘅目標啊嘛，如果唔係你為咗檢討而檢討冇意思咯。咁我睇睇係咪呢方面你哋有個即係俾大家安心啊！我係向上調嘅，3年後咧，你哋按守則做得好，我哋可能調到5000億或者6000億，咁起碼大家清楚究竟我做呢個守則達到咩效果，然後大家共同一齊努力咯。啊。
Sure, a couple of points.
And
I'll ask
3 points.
I'll copy ask my colleague Rob to just cover off one of them. So on the number of institutions that were captured under the 150 billion threshold was 17, based on end 2017 data. If we raise the threshold to 300 billion, the number of firms captured is around 12.
12. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's based on historical information. The question about the approach of other jurisdictions, I'll hand to my colleague Robert in a minute. In terms of sort of the review in 3 years' time, obviously we will take very seriously the decision that we have taken and clarified today to set the threshold at 300. And the very clear messages that we've received from industry as part of the current consultation and from LegCo members in reviewing the 300 threshold. And I think there would have to be very significant developments in the market, very obvious evidence for any departure from the 300 billion, particularly, I think, the concerns of LegCo members if it were to be lowered. So I don't see that as a central case, and I think there would have to be a very material development in the market that currently, obviously, we can't envisage before with any risk of that would likely to be crystallise. So obviously we're still in the first consultation, so it's difficult to talk about the consultation that we're going to do in 3 years' time. But I think the discussions that we've had here today would obviously be regarded very seriously. Yeah. And I'll just hand to my colleague Rob to talk about how other jurisdictions take this approach.
Yeah, so just to address the question as to what threshold for imposing loss-absorbing capacity requirements other jurisdictions have used, that's not as simple to answer as we might like, because generally speaking, other jurisdictions haven't provided the clarity around, for example, a total consolidated assets threshold, which is what we're proposing to set out in the Code of Practice. But what I can tell you is that most other major international financial market jurisdictions have extended loss-absorbing capacity requirements below the levels of DSIBs and GSIBs, which of course is what we're planning here. And in terms of a comparable number, I would just refer back to the point I made previously, that the 300 billion, the proposed threshold here in Hong Kong, is more than 10% of Hong Kong's GDP, whereas the threshold in Japan is lower, essentially around 7%. Just to make the point, this is not a formal threshold, but this includes the institutions that are covered by the loss-absorbing capacity requirements in these jurisdictions. So in Japan, the number is around 7%. In the UK, it's less than 1% of GDP. And in the US, it's a bit more than 1% of GDP. So on that comparison, we can see that actually the threshold in Hong Kong as a proportion of GDP is significantly higher than in other major international financial market jurisdictions.
主席啊，如果係我覺得就唔好用 GDP 去作為一個比較，因為人哋嗰個國家嗰個規模啦、人口都唔同，反而係按照嗰個銀行資產總值去作出比較咧，我覺得比較實際啲嘅。咁我唔知有冇呢方面嘅數據啦嚇。咁另外就係頭先講嗰個有關3年後檢討嘅問題啦。咁我覺得咧，即係始終而家已經攞12間銀行，咁香港發鈔銀行都係得幾間啫嘛。咁發鈔銀行之後嗰紮銀行咧，其實影響係好明顯。咁所以我覺得呢啲既然都定咗3000億嘅話咧，應該喺做當中呢幾年咧。應該都係聽下呢啲唔係大到不能倒嘅銀行嚇，咁佢哋本身又唔係發鈔銀行，佢造成咗工作壓力，造成一個困難，咁你哋應該多啲聽佢意見。咁去到3000億嘅時候，發覺問題都不大，係咪去調到更高？即係咁樣嘅目標，大家就清楚，然後大家呢幾年咧就會按照守則工作去做，好過而家你咁空泛去答咧，大家咧始終就覺得我冇目標去努力啊。咁就變咗敷衍嚟做，我亦冇意思啊！我覺得係咪應該有個咁嘅承諾咧？咁政府嚇，
係咯，因為姚議員嘅意思就係嗰12間呢，雖然你哋叫做身體檢查啫，但係檢查完之後會點做呢？唔知道。咁佢話應該你哋要緊密同佢哋溝通。咁兩個問題嘅，一個點解用GDP 就唔用我哋香港嘅銀行資產嚟做一個對比？咁有冇數據呢？第二個就係喺檢討嗰陣時候，你會唔會考慮阿姚議員頭先講嘅意見？唔該。
So on the first question around the why not use the banking assets as the denominator instead. So I just want to clarify that the reference there to GDP, we're not driving our threshold off GDP. That was simply for comparison. I don't have the exact numbers available for taking banking assets as a denominator. But just looking from the numbers in front of me on the administration's response to LegCo questions from Friday, I would see that if we were to compare it on a banking assets basis, I believe our approach would be less. Our approach would not be as stringent as the UK's, perhaps a bit more so than Japan, and perhaps about the same as the US. But I don't want to give concrete answers at this time, but we're happy to do so subsequently.
Okay.
And
for the second question.
For the second part on review, but just very briefly in terms of the approach of other jurisdictions, I think as we set out in our response, the written response from the administration, there's a table. And I think two key points I'll just flag from that table. Other jurisdictions, including Australia, the European Union, and the United Kingdom, ensure that their resolution regime and their loss-absorbing capacity requirements can apply to non-DSIBs. And so that is the same approach that we're taking in Hong Kong. So these are major capital market jurisdictions comparable to Hong Kong. And in particular, I'll pick one. So the United Kingdom, in terms of the non-DSIBs it considers within scope of LAC requirements, the asset size that they use is 15 billion GBP, which is comparable to 150 billion Hong Kong dollars. So these key jurisdictions in the European Union, that includes the European Union banking union jurisdictions and the non-banking union jurisdictions, Australia and the UK, ensure that LAC requirements applies to non-DSIBs, and the UK in particular, as well as some other jurisdictions in Europe like Sweden, apply to comparably small banks. In terms of the review point, I think as we've talked about before, the FIRO applies to all AIs in Hong Kong. So the reference to a threshold is important as a starting point for the institutions which we think, among that very broad community of 200 AIs, are most important for a resolution perspective, and that the firms above the threshold will be our priority in resolution planning. So resolution planning is a bilateral discussion between the authorities and banks on an ongoing basis. And it's designed primarily to set the preferred resolution strategy if that bank fails, and to remove that bank's impediments to implementing that strategy. Loss absorbing capacity is one of the very important barriers to individual banks' resolvability. We obviously keep those discussions open, but and obviously the future review of any thresholds in 3 years' time will have an impact on those discussions. But I guess I want members to understand that these discussions are happening now and will be happening in the future as part of the MA's work to supervise the resolvability of Hong Kong banks.
OK， 咁下一位陳健波議員，唔該。
係，多謝主席。因為我都有參加嗰個金融機構處置機制法例，我都有份參與㗎。當時嗰個政策原意係好清晰嘅，即係根本就係一定係針對啲大到不能倒嘅銀行，甚至當時數到幾多間嘅，當時就好清晰，唔知九間啊或者點咁樣嘅，即係咁咧。但係而家咧，你好明顯睇到你而家將佢咧係加辣嘅，即係由一個本來處置大到不能倒嘅銀行咧，而家搞到去咧中小型都要，就甚至轉變為一座保障即係存款嘅計劃，即係香港已經有一個存款保障計劃呢個機制㗎啦。咁你點解要將佢擴闊到咁樣咧？咁樣，咁我希望咧即係有記錄啊。I just want to put on record the intention of the FIRO is to manage those too big to fail banks. So there was no intention anywhere in the world to cover or extend it to become part of the depositors protection system. So it seems Hong Kong is the only place that is trying to violate or change it to extend it further, extend your arms to cover the depositors. If we think the depositors system is not well enough, then we should improve the depositors system instead of now using this ordinance to extend it to others. 所以我咧就覺得即係希望都係政府要留意啦。即係今日我哋可能因為你都做咗咁多讓步，我哋都可能需要俾你通過。但係個問題就係話咧，當你喺執行嗰啲細節啊，甚至係嗰啲code of practice 嗰時咧，真係要希望你明白咧，因為你有咁大嘅彈性。如果全世界都冇做到你咁辣嘅話咧，你係冇需要做咁辣嘅。同埋你要明白咧，而家我哋香港銀行都係同嗰啲亞洲區競爭緊啦，係咪？咁所以我而家又講翻你俾我哋嗰啲我手上有啲資料咧，就係講到咧，你俾我哋嗰啲關於亞洲區啊、世界各地嗰啲人哋嘅做法咧，其實都唔係全面咯，咁係令人好失望。例如你澳洲度咧，你就講到話澳洲似乎都第二啲都會考慮，但係其實我有啲資料就話 most likely Australia likely to implement only for D-ship or special cases, likely to mean Macquarie, which perform function in Australian financial system that are different from typical commercial banks. So you are not actually telling us everything you know. The second one is about Europe. A person to require banks of over Euro 100 billion to be in scope. That means 即係大概係9000億嘅港元先至係需要包入去啦。England, England is very special because they have suffered from the problem with Northern Rock and Royal Bank of Scotland in the financial crisis. So we can understand why they are so tough on the banks. But still, they now have, what they are saying is that with balance sheet size above 15 to 25 billion may be in scope for LAC. But the decision will be made on an individual entity basis. So there's a lot of flexibility. That's quite like Hong Kong, but I hope you would exercise your discretion wisely. Singapore, there are no plans for non-G-SIB, D-SIB banks to be in scope at all right now. So there's actually no intention to regulate non-G-SIB, D-SIBs. Mainland, obviously we all know the plan is is on a sort of delayed path. Japan, only the 3 mega banks and another major financial Nomura, right, are in scope for LAC. So you can understand there are only 4. So you can notice that in Asia, there's no other regulator that as tough as Hong Kong. It's really necessary. Because Hong Kong has been, after the financial crisis, the banks have increased substantially the capital requirement. And also you have this recovery scheme that they need to prepare. When they are really in big trouble, the first thing that will happen is consume the capital. And then you have this recovery plan where they may need to sell their head office, they may need to sell their long portfolio. Now you are trying to build up this last third layer. To me, it's totally not necessary because now you have people, all the banks are overcapitalized. They have all these plans that are ready. Hong Kong is, the financial is so healthy and so difficult for the bank to run right now. What you are doing right now, if you for the LAC, they will actually heavily damage their ability to make money so that they won't have more reserve in the future. So this is really damaging. So we must understand what we are trying to do. Are we really addressing the problem of too big to fail? Or now we are extending our arms to do something else? So I really hope that because you two gentlemen will probably in the Western office in the next few years, helping Hong Kong to deliver this law. But I really hope that you would understand because most likely we are going to pass this bill today. But I think if the whole intention is to address the too big to fail, please don't derail and then make it very difficult for a small to medium-sized bank, which in turn will make it very difficult for the SME in Hong Kong because the big banks in Hong Kong have a different way of doing business with small to medium-sized banks. They have a lot of value for the SMEs as well. So we must not destroy the value of this medium to sized bank in Hong Kong. And then the third question I would like to ask is about the answer from you. I think it's on number 8. On number 8, I think you are saying that you are now increased the threshold to 300 billion, right? There's a question because you said that the resolution of authority will also give consideration to how the resolution increased risk to public funds can be appropriately mitigated or managed by other means. So what do you mean? You don't ask them to do the LAC, and then you ask them to do something else. Is that what you're saying? Then that will create another big problem for them as well. So can you clearly say that anyone that is below that threshold, they don't need to do anything because they are not so important to really disrupt. Even they go busted. So what? They won't really disrupt the financial situation in Hong Kong, then that makes them not necessary for them to recover by that at all. So can you give me some simple answers, please?
Sure. A couple of points there. So we very, very much value the feedback that we've had from industry and from LegCo members as part of this discussion, and that has really informed the proposal that we put forward today to raise the threshold to 300 billion. And I guess even with that threshold, it's important to reiterate that the LAC rules and the code of practice do not automatically result in LAC requirements for any institution. That is a decision that's taken by the MA as part of resolution planning that takes into account individual firm circumstances. And in terms of the role of the deposit insurance scheme, I think there's an obvious interaction between resolution and deposit insurance through liquidation. The key lesson from the financial crisis is if you let large banks that carry out systemic functions or critical financial functions as defined in the FIRO, enter liquidation, it can result in financial instability and negative impact for the bank's customers, including its depositors. There's an important role for DPS to play, but the key lesson from the crisis is that it's not a credible option to let banks that carry out systemic functions enter liquidation because of the financial stability impact and the impact in particular on depositors who lose access to their deposit funds. The resolution is designed, not just in Hong Kong but around the world, to enable the authorities to protect financial stability and banks' customers by providing an alternative to liquidation. I think we've talked a little bit about the approach of other jurisdictions, and I think you flagged a couple of examples of, obviously we haven't been able to go into sort of each jurisdiction's detailed policy proposals. To your point about the European Union, I think there's a distinction that needs to be drawn between the role of the Single Resolution Board, the SRB, in setting MREL, their version of LAC requirements, for the banks that fall within their scope, which is limited to 140 institutions. And that's where the 100 billion threshold comes from. Under the primary legislation in the banking union, it is still open to national resolution authorities. They're required to ensure that institutions that are smaller than the 140 billion or 140 communities that are covered by the Single Resolution Board have sufficient loss absorbing capacity. So what we're saying is that at a national level and at a banking union level, a wider community of banks are within scope, consistent with the kind of scope that we're proposing here. And to your final point, in terms of other means, so the line that follows the, again, we're a public authority. We have to have regard to the things that we say. So we have identified a risk, and it's the considered view of the MA that institutions above a certain threshold cannot be credibly placed into liquidation if they fail. What we've said here today is that institutions between 150 and 300 billion will not be subject to a LAC requirement. I think the important thing is that does not mean that they can be placed into liquidation if they fail. So we may be forced to take them into resolution if they fail in the future. But we're being clear that those institutions will not have a LAC requirement.
So what you're saying is that they are definitely not subject to LAC requirement. But when they are in problem or in trouble, you'll probably help them instead of, doing some things similar to that. So I think their concern is that you are going to do something similar to that. But what I'm trying to point out is that right now you have actually a lot of things that can strengthen the bank's capital. You can ask them to do this, do that. There are a lot of tools for you.
Understand.
That is not the only tool that you can use. You're a lot of choices. So I hope you won't always think about that. I would like to compare it with an insurance policy. I think that is a sort of insurance policy so that when they get into trouble, you have this insurance cover. But the problem is if the insurance premium is so high that it's not worth buying that, because the cost is so high that you would say that I won't buy that kind of limit. I would buy a smaller limit, then I pay less. So I just want to let you know that all these LAC papers would have costs on the small to medium-sized bank, actually even for the bigger banks. So when the cost is so high, then you may not need the insurance policy. So it's very simple, right? So hopefully you will put that in mind. Okay? Thank you.
OK， 有冇其他委員仲想發問嘅？冇咧，我想我自己表達一個意見都立此存照啦嚇，叫做第一咧就頭先金管局嘅同事咧就講出用 GDP 嚟量度呢樣嘢咧，咁我都想講咧，其實香港而家嘅地位咧都越嚟越係成為我哋譬如亞太區啊，或者起碼咧我哋自己成個即係中國嘅一個其中一個金融中心。咁我淨係用我自己嘅即係我哋嘅銀行存款，淨係用我哋自己本地嘅 GDP 嚟量度咧，係即係梗係一定偏高嘅。但係其實我哋做緊嘅生意係做埋內地啦，做埋附近即係我哋東盟亞太區嘅生意噶嘛。咁所以咁樣量咧，同頭先你哋嘅橫向比較咧，我覺得嗰個即係合理性係有啲疑問嘅。因為譬如我哋舉個例啦，你用紐約嘅銀行嘅存款同紐約個城市嘅 GDP 比，同紐約成個同美國成個國家比，係會完全出嗰個唔同嘅情況出嚟噶嘛。咁所以點解一拎出嚟嘅兩組數字呢，我哋都會明顯比其他國家係會高，因為我哋係高度集中，而我哋嘅生意呢係來自四方八面嘅。咁所以我覺得呢，呢一個我希望即係你哋金管局以後唔好太過淨係用一個地區嘅 GDP 去同佢個地區嘅存款，去覺得我哋香港特別高風險咧，呢個我又好難去完全接受到咯。呢個首先一樣嘢啦。咁我覺得咧，如果金管局咁關注第二點咧，就係金管局咁關注香港存戶嗰個 即係風險要保障呢，我覺得我哋係應該喺存款保障計劃嗰度做多啲。我完全同意頭先陳健波議員講嘅，譬如而家我哋50萬你唔夠嘅，會唔會提高到80萬、100萬？咁因為喺存款保障計劃裏邊呢，每一間銀行都會為呢個保險有幾多存款呢，去俾一個成本。咁呢個變成呢，就係大家接受存款嘅量越大，你俾個保金就越大，咁反而咧係一個相對比較公平。而家呢一種咧就大得不能倒嘅，咁因為係國際都要，好似上次涂謹申議員講聯防，咁我哋一定要做好呢個聯防啦。咁對於中小銀行，頭先我諗陳健波議員啦、姚思榮議員啦、張華峰議員都講過，佢係對我哋自己本土嘅中小企。上次我記得盧偉國議員都講過嘅，就對本土嘅中小企經濟係好重要嘅其中一個組成部分啦。咁我哋如果係對佢哋實施一啲不合理嘅成本喺度呢，可能亦都不利我哋香港呢就有唔同嘅銀行呢去服務唔同類型嘅客戶嘅。咁呢個係我第二個意見啦。第三個意見我亦都同陳健波議員即係好相似嘅，就係話你哋喺嗰個 COP 裏邊實務守則呢，就同意咗之外呢，你哋就落咗一句，即係頭先陳健波議員都讀出嚟啦。咁你頭先講呢，就話由1500億到3000億中間嘅銀行呢，你哋係唔會有 lag 嘅 requirement， 但係呢，當然佢有事嗰時呢，你會 step in 會做一啲嘢啦。咁呢個我好 appreciate 嘅。咁但係頭先姚思榮議員都講呢，就話希望你哋喺就算係畫咗呢條線呢，喺條線上邊嘅銀行，希望你哋做完身體檢查之後呢，要同佢哋多啲溝通啦。咁另外呢，就係話對於佢哋有需要符合 lag requirement 嘅呢，咁我見你哋其實有一條今日冇講嘅，就係話一啲 AT1 都可以作為一啲 lag equivalent 嘅 instrument 呢。呢一點呢，要同佢哋即係做好充分溝通或者你嘅計算啦。咁我希望即係喺你哋實施成個條例嘅過程裏邊呢，都充分考慮我哋呢3次會議裏邊呢，唔同委員呢都表達咗好多意見。我唔希望呢就係話大家睇到就係你哋好從善如流嚇，即刻反應做咗出嚟。但係有啲魔鬼細節做嗰陣時呢，你哋就有少少走樣變形呢。呢個我諗係大家都唔係太希望嘅。咁我就想表達呢3點意見。我唔知阿張秘書長或者阿 Amen 或者 Robert 你哋有冇回應啦？但係我就係想講呢個阿陳健波議員請。
即係話咧，你用 GDP 嚟比較係好有問題嘅，因為點解呢？ GDP 計嘅方法唔係咁簡單，話就咁你有幾多就我舉個例咧，我哋保險界每年大概有5000億嘅生意咧，嗰個保費。咁我哋有人呢，就將佢呢，就係做分子啦，分母就係香港嘅 GDP， 咁啊計咗話我哋佔 GDP 10幾%。其實完全唔係咁計啊！後來政府搞把翻俾我哋計出嚟應該得3點幾%嘅啫。因為你嗰個分母嘅計法就唔係咁簡單，話就咁你個生產幾多就擺落去，而係要跟嗰啲 formula 計到個 GDP 出嚟噶嘛。咁如果你分母都唔係咁計，你分子有乜理由咁簡單 simple 嚟就咁擺落去咧？完全唔啱噶嘛。咁希望第日都做呢啲數嗰時都要小心啲啦。即係唔可以比較，唔可以咁樣比較。咁所以我好同意你個 point。
好張秘書長，
亦都多謝各位議員嘅意見。咁我相信呢個係一個好好嘅溝通同埋互相了解嘅過程啦。咁議員同埋主席俾嘅意見，我相信大家都聽得好清楚。我亦都再次同大家表示呢，就係無論係呢一個制定實務守則嘅過程，同埋甚至第二時金管局同每一間銀行做評估或者互動嘅時候咧，呢個過程都係即係有充分溝通嘅情況之下進行嘅。
Amen， 你有冇嘢想補充
？In terms of the GDP point, I think it's important to clarify that we've been using that point and the percentage of Hong Kong banking assets primarily for comparison purposes. The primary objectives that we have in our mind when resolution planning, when developing LAC policy, or drawing the threshold that we've been discussing a lot, are the resolution objectives set out in the FIRO. Financial stability, continuity of the bank's critical financial functions, protection of depositors, and minimizing the risk to public funds. So just to be clear, we are not using measures of GDP on their own. Primarily they're used for comparison purposes. The more important factors are those set out in the FIRO and the resolution objectives.
Okay. 睇下各位委員仲有冇其他問題。如果冇呢，我哋就可以開始進入去逐條審議嗰度啦。咁逐條審議，因為呢嗰個篇幅都係比較多嘅，我希望即係政府當局嘅同事呢，可以用一個 section by section， 譬如 definition 啊，然後即係咁樣，然後我會逐個問委員有冇問題嘅，好冇？咁邊位去
Mr. Probert.
take us through?
Mr. Probert will
okay.
take us through.
Robert, please.
Thank you. So I will now do the clause-by-clause review. And Mr. Chairman, I'd appreciate for your guidance on whether I'm going through in too much or too little detail.
Okay. Sure.
So the rules are made under Section 19(1) of the Financial Institutions Resolution Ordinance, which empowers a resolution authority to make rules to prescribe loss-absorbing capacity requirements for within-scope financial institutions or their group companies. And these rules are being put forward by the Monetary Authority as the resolution authority for banking sector entities under the FIRO. I shall now go through each of the 8 parts of the rules, highlighting the key elements of each as I go through.
Okay.
So Part 1 provides for the commencement of the rules and sets out key definitions and provides for the resolution authority to notify a classifiable entity of the preferred resolution strategy covering that entity. Rule 1 provides for the rules to come into operation on 14th December 2018. Rule 2 sets out specific definitions used in the rules, and I don't intend to go through these in detail, but just to flag some of the key definitions. The resolution authority definition refers to the monetary authority as a resolution authority for banking sector entities under Section 2(1) of the FIRO. Another key definition is classifiable entity, which is also dealt with in Rule 4, which describes the types of entities which can be classified as resolution entities and material subsidiaries, and therefore made subject to loss-absorbing capacity requirements. And classifiable entities include HK-affiliated operational entities, HK holding companies, and authorized institutions incorporated in Hong Kong. Other definitions it might be useful to flag up front are lack requirement, which goes to the core of these rules, means a requirement for a resolution entity or material subsidiary to maintain any of its lack ratios at or above a specified minimum level. The terms consolidated basis, solo basis, and solo consolidated basis define the basis on which a lack requirement needs to be met, and the definition of these terms is designed to mirror the meanings of comparable terms set out in the banking capital rules. And the definition of lack consolidation group sets out the legal entities with reference to which a lack requirement on a consolidated basis is to be met. And the only other definition I think it's worth flagging at this stage is that of resolution strategy, which refers to a strategy devised by the resolution authority under Section 13(1)(a) or 13(2)(a) of the FIRO for securing an orderly resolution of a within-scope financial institution, or a corresponding strategy developed by an overseas authority. And I will then move on rather than consider any of the other rules in detail, and any other definitions in detail. In this part, it's also worth flagging that Rule 3 provides for the resolution authority to notify a classifiable entity of a preferred resolution strategy. Moving on now to Part 2. This is the part
Please stop here for a moment. 睇下各位委員Part 1有冇咩特別意見，包括法律顧問都冇。OK.
So moving on now to Part 2. This empowers the resolution authority to classify a classifiable entity as a resolution entity or a material subsidiary, and in certain circumstances to vary that entity's lack consolidation group. And this Part 2 also sets out the procedure for such classification or variation, and contains a provision requiring a resolution entity or material subsidiary to notify changes to its lack consolidation group to the resolution authority. Going briefly through the rules one by one, Rule 4 sets out what types of entity are classifiable entities. We've already gone through that in the definitions. Rules 5 and 6 are the rules which empower the resolution authority to classify a classifiable entity as a resolution entity or a material subsidiary. And these are the rules that set out the criteria that an entity needs to meet in order to be so classified. Rule 7 empowers the resolution authority to vary the lack consolidation group of a resolution entity or material subsidiary if it is satisfied that it is prudent to do so. And Rule 8 then sets out the procedure for the resolution authority to classify entities as resolution entities or material subsidiaries, and also sets out the procedure for the varying of the lack consolidation group.
OK， 梁繼昌議員，唔該。
In Rule 7, subsection 1, the authority would have a wide discretion to add or remove subsidiaries in the I would presume you're talking about the group. When you talk about the group in 7.1a, it means the LAC consolidation group, right? What instances will, or what criteria will you be adhering to when you add subsidiaries or remove the subsidiaries from the group? I mean, any typical examples you can enlighten us?
Sure. Yeah. So Sub-Rule 7.3 provides some high-level criteria that will be taken into account. Key amongst them would be the degree of connectedness between a resolution entity or material subsidiary and the subsidiary in question, and the preferred resolution strategy covering the entity in question would also be important. The key here is that the LAC consolidation group is the entity with respect to which a loss-absorbing capacity requirement is calculated. So therefore, the makeup of that group has to be consistent with the calibration of the loss-absorbing capacity requirement. And it has to be the case that if there are entities outside the LAC consolidation group that need to be kept going in the event of a banking group failure, that there are sufficient loss-absorbing capacity resources in place to allow that to happen. So that's kind of the key driver behind this rule.
So the connectedness doesn't necessarily hinge on the cross-shareholding or the ownership alone. I think, does it matter if, say, although it may be not that common in a Hong Kong group, because in a large conglomerate like in Korea or Japan, you will have companies with very different nature within the group, like you have a bank and you have a shipbuilder. So would you take into account the nature of the business as well? I mean, when considering the connectedness of these companies?
So it might be helpful to describe the starting point for the LAC consolidation group, which will be the capital consolidation group under the banking capital rules.
Right.
So in most cases, we would actually expect the LAC consolidation group to have the same constituents as the existing regulatory supervisory consolidation group under the banking capital rules. And it's only really if there was an unusual circumstance where there was an entity outside the capital consolidation group that there might be a need to vary it. So I think the example you just described, I guess in extremis, we could imagine a situation in which there was a subsidiary of an AI that had to be kept going. And in those circumstances, it might be that where considered prudent, the resolution authority would bring it within the LAC consolidation group. But the starting point is the capital consolidation group, and we would expect that to apply in most cases.
Okay.
OK。陳健波議員有問題。
次申報咗，我係東亞銀行獨立非執董啊，今日就冇申報，所以我都穩陣啲都申報翻啦。
咁你申報我都要申報，我係中銀香港嘅顧問。
其實我哋要改呢個例咯，因為第一次就得㗎啦，但係據我所知而家個要求仲係要每次申報。
好，唔該。咁你對頭先問
題啊嗰啲
佢冇，即係阿梁議員只係申報啫係嘛 ？OK， 唔該。咁好，Robert，please continue。
Thank you. So I'm now going to move on to, I think I was just describing Rule 9, which requires a resolution entity or material subsidiary to notify the resolution authority of changes to its LAC consolidation group including changes to the membership of the group and changes to the principal activities of group members. So moving on now to part 3. This sets out the relevant LAC ratios for a resolution entity and a material subsidiary and describes how these ratios are calculated. Division 1, which includes Rules 10 and 11, sets out the relevant external LAC ratios for a resolution entity, being the external LAC risk-weighted ratio, calculated with risk-weighted assets as the denominator, and the external LAC leverage ratio, calculated with the exposure measure of an entity as the denominator. Division 2 of this part consists of Rules 12 and 13, and essentially performs the same function with respect to the internal LAC risk-weighted ratio and internal LAC leverage ratio for material subsidiaries. Division 3 of this part sets out how a resolution entity or material subsidiary calculates its LAC ratios on a solo consolidated or consolidated basis. Rules 14, 15, 16, and 17 go through this in some detail for different types of institutions, both authorized institutions and resolution entities and material subsidiaries that are not authorized institutions. But the principles running through all three are broadly comparable, and as mentioned earlier, seek to reflect the interpretation of calculation of requirements on a solo consolidated and consolidated basis that are already in the banking capital rules. So with the chairman's permission, I won't go into any more detail on those rules. Moving now on to part 4. This provides for the determination of minimum LAC ratios. Division 1 sets out a resolution entity's capital component ratio and resolution component ratio, which are used to determine the minimum external LAC ratios for that entity. It might also be helpful to flag at this stage that Rule 25(2) essentially operates so that Rules 18 onwards in this Part 4 also apply to material subsidiaries.
Okay. 梁繼昌議員，唔該。
I just want to know, because I understand that the capital component ratio and the resolution component ratio, are they fixed ratio, or would they be changing in accordance with the circumstances of the entity, or the resolution entity, or the material subsidiary concerned? Although I understand that the formula should be a internationally accepted formula, right? There's just two very basic questions. Yeah.
Okay. Sure, thank you. So the capital component ratio is essentially derived from the minimum regulatory capital requirements that an AI has to meet under the banking capital rules.
Right, okay.
And the resolution component ratio, in these rules, the starting point is that it is set equal to the capital component ratio, which is why the starting point for LAC requirements is twice capital requirements. Okay. But the resolution component ratio is then addressed in the following rules, and that in particular is the element that the resolution authority has the flexibility to vary. And as described in the COP, that might happen in particular for smaller banks in light of the preferred resolution strategy of a particular entity.
Okay.
Okay. Robert, please.
So Rule 18, as I was just describing, specifies the capital component ratio for a resolution entity. Rule 19 provides that a resolution entity's resolution component ratio is equal to its capital component ratio, subject to variation by the resolution authority under certain circumstances. Worth flagging here that it's sub-rule 19.2 that allows the resolution authority to vary, as I just described, the resolution component ratio, if satisfied that it is prudent to do so. And rules 19.3 and 19.4 also operate to allow a resolution entity to apply in writing, requesting a variation of its resolution component ratio. Rule 20 sets out the procedure for the variation of resolution component ratios and capital component ratios. Moving on now to Division 2 of this part, this establishes the minimum external LAC ratios that need to be maintained by a resolution entity. Rule 21 sets this out for the external LAC risk-weighted ratio, and Rule 22 sets this out for the minimum external LAC leverage ratio. And it's also worth flagging that each of these rules provides flexibility to the resolution authority to ensure that for GSIBs, these minimum requirements are at least consistent with the minimum internationally applicable standards.
梁繼昌議員，請。
Rule 22, the formula really complies only with the minimum international acceptable standard. Does it mean that the 3% is the minimum percentage? I mean, is there any other jurisdiction which would impose a higher percentage, or how does you derive this 3%? And also, there's a footnote to sub-rule 2 there, saying that the TLAC term sheet says a minimum leverage ratio of 6% and 6.7% from certain dates for global systematically important banks. So these 6% and 6.75 are really the international prescribed, TLAC percentage, right? And I would like to know more about how you derive this 3%. Two questions, yes.
Sure. So my reference to international standards was actually specifically with reference to 21.2 and 22.2.
Yeah.
And as you've just identified, these are the provisions which allow the resolution authority to ensure that the global systemically important banks in Hong Kong meet the minimum international standards, which are set out in the Financial Stability Board's TLAC term sheet. But with reference to 3%, this is actually a reference to the leverage ratio, which is also prescribed at a minimum level by international standards.
Okay.
And this 3%, which applies, incidentally, to more than just GSIBs. So this is the standard number for the leverage ratio set for banks, not just GSIBs. And 3% is indeed the minimum number set out in international standards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So moving now on to Division 3, this establishes the minimum internal LAC ratios for a material subsidiary, which are the modelled minimum internal LAC ratios for the subsidiary multiplied by an internal LAC scalar. So I won't go through rules 23, 24, 25 in detail, but just to describe their effect, essentially what they do is look at the LAC ratios that would apply to a material subsidiary were it a resolution entity, thereby incorporating the previous provisions that we've just been discussing. And this produces a modelled minimum external LAC, risk-weighted and leverage ratio. Rule 26 then sets an internal LAC scalar, and it is the product of the internal LAC scalar and the modelled minimum external LAC ratios that produce the minimum LAC requirements for materials subsidiaries. And as you can see in Rule 26, the starting point for the internal LAC scalar is 75%, subject to the power of the resolution authority to increase this figure where prudent. And the procedure for that increase is then set out in Rule 27. Division 4 sets out the requirements on resolution entities and material subsidiaries to maintain their minimum LAC ratios. In more detail, Rules 28 and 29 require that resolution entities and material subsidiaries must at all times after the relevant period, which is generally the period 24 months following their classification date as a resolution entity or material subsidiary, maintain minimum external LAC ratios in the case of resolution entities and minimum internal LAC ratios in the case of material subsidiaries. The minimum LAC ratios must be met on a consolidated basis with reference to the entity's LAC consolidation group, and if the entity is an authorized institution, those minimum ratios must also be met on a solo or solo consolidated basis. This, however, can be adjusted with reference to a solo LAC scalar which is introduced in Rule 30. And Rule 30 also provides for the resolution authority to have a power to reduce the solo lac scalar at below 100%. Rule 31 provides the resolution authority with the ability to extend the relevant period after which a resolution entity or a material subsidiary must meet a lac requirement if it is satisfied that it is prudent to do so. So this is the rule that would allow the resolution authority to extend the conformance period beyond 24 months. And Rule 32 imposes further lac ratio requirements on certain global systemically important banks to reflect international standards as set out in the Financial Stability Board's TLAC term sheet. Division 5 sets out minimum lac debt requirements for resolution entities and material subsidiaries. Rules 33 and 34 provide for minimum lac debt requirements for resolution entities and material subsidiaries, set at 1/3 of their external or internal lac ratios, respectively. And Rule 35 empowers the resolution authority to reduce an entity's minimum lac debt requirement under this division in certain circumstances. Division 6 then provides for the suspension of lac requirements following certain occurrences, including the application of a stabilization option under the FIRO, the contractual write-down, conversion, or modification of regulatory capital instruments or other lac instruments. So moving now on to part 5. This sets out how an institution's loss-absorbing capacity is calculated for the purposes of these rules. Rule 37 sets out this process for resolution entities, setting out the items that are to be included in a resolution entity's external loss-absorbing capacity. The core component of external loss-absorbing capacity is the total capital of that entity, subject to some modifications, also including non-capital lac debt instruments which need to meet certain qualifying criteria, which for external lac are those set out in Schedule 1 to these rules. Rule 38 sets out the items that are to be deducted from a resolution entity's external loss-absorbing capacity. In particular, it requires where a resolution entity holds non-capital lac liabilities issued by other entities to deduct those from its own external loss-absorbing capacity. Rules 39 and 40 then provide equivalent provisions for a material subsidiary in relation to the calculation of its internal loss-absorbing capacity and items to be deducted from it. The operation of Rule 39 is facilitated by Schedule 2, which, analogously to Schedule 1, sets out the eligibility criteria which need to be met by internal lac debt instruments. Note also that Schedules 3 and 4 are also relevant to this division in that they set out more details on how deductions are to be made when calculating the loss-absorbing capacity of a resolution entity or material subsidiary. Rule 41 empowers the resolution authority to require a resolution entity or material subsidiary to provide evidence that items claimed to form part of its loss-absorbing capacity are indeed eligible, so in particular that they meet the eligibility criteria set out in Schedules 1 and 2. Rule...
梁議員有
I want to inquire about Rule 41. When you say evidence, basically, are you relying just on internal documentation? For example, you know, just the report over compliance department or internal auditor. Do you need external auditor's opinion on these various, you know, like requirements to prove that the institution or the material subsidiary or the solo entity, whatever, have satisfied the criteria, basically? Do you need external auditors' evidence?
So the Code of Practice, which is currently out for consultation, provides more detail on what is expected here. In particular, provides that evidence of a detailed internal self-assessment by an issuer be provided to the resolution authority, and also sets out an expectation that an independent legal opinion is provided confirming that the instruments being claimed to form part of loss-absorbing capacity do indeed meet the minimum legal requirements.
So you need a legal opinion, but you don't need an auditor's certificate.
So the code of practice sets out a kind of minimum expectations. So clearly, if the evidence of the internal self-assessment conducted was in any way seems to be deficient, then naturally the resolution authority would be able to then call for more evidence as appropriate.
Right. But the legal opinion is part and parcel of that evidence, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
But it's a usual practice for the regulators to ask the AI to recruit some external consultant to do some health check internally, and that's I think what you expect.
But that means the bigger law firms can produce such a template and to generate more revenue in the circumstances.
Okay. Do you have any additional questions on top of this?
No.
No. Okay. Robert, please continue.
Moving on to Rule 42, this empowers the resolution authority to require a resolution entity or material subsidiary not to include or to discontinue the inclusion of any specified items in the calculation of its loss-absorbing capacity. And Rule 43 sets out the procedure for imposing this requirement. Rule 44 allows a resolution authority or material subsidiary, with the approval of the resolution authority, to use a revised methodology for calculating its loss-absorbing capacity. Moving on now to Part 6, this imposes disclosure requirements on resolution entities and material subsidiaries in relation to their loss-absorbing capacity. Rule 45 sets out the key definitions used in this part, and Rule 46 specifies when the requirements in this part will apply. Rules 47 to 51 then set out the specifics of the content of disclosure statements that will be required of material subsidiaries and resolution entities under these rules. Rule 52 provides details on how disclosures are to be made, and Rule 53 sets out the timing of disclosures. Further requirements as to disclosures are contained in Rules 54 to 59, which also provide for group disclosures, disclosures on internet websites, verification of matters disclosed, and how proprietary or confidential information is to be dealt with.
Yeah. Okay.
Are these disclosure statements to be included in the normal reports? I mean, authorized institutions officers have to do all these annual reporting, quarterly reporting, or half-yearly reporting to the MA on existing. They're already doing that on various things. So are you just acting on a different section in these reports, or are you requiring totally new reports to be submitted to the authority? What is your approach like?
So these requirements will, of course, require new information to be disclosed in kind of new tables and new templates. But essentially, these requirements mirror the existing requirements in the banking disclosure rules, which relate to capital. And so our expectation is that when meeting these requirements, institutions will essentially add on to their existing disclosures the new information that is being required under these rules. So we're not expecting AIs to adopt an entirely new approach and issue a kind of a new set of reports and financial statements that are specifically focused independently on loss-absorbing capacity.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's also a requirement to, disclose the loss-absorbing requirement on website. Have I read it correctly? Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So again, that essentially just mirrors existing requirements under the banking disclosure rules with reference to disclosure around capital requirements.
Right.
And it might be helpful also to point out that the requirements being developed for Rules 47 to 51 and as referenced in the Code of Practice will be derived from, again, the existing kind of international standards on disclosure around loss-absorbing capacity.
So I'm also thinking about the auditor's report, interim report, and the auditor's report on the annual audited accounts. Obviously, the auditors has to opine on certain things in the report, in those reports at the moment. Are they required to opine on the loss-absorbing capacity as well in the auditor's report?
So there is nothing in these rules which specifically requires that, but naturally subject to other reporting requirements and the coverage of typical auditors' statements, it might be that they would naturally fall within it, but there's nothing in these rules that specifically requires that.
Okay. Yeah.
涂謹申議員好似唔該。
主席就嗰個文件嗰度咧就即係呢個冇 number 嚇，即係喺個台面嗰度嗰個啦，即係23號嗰個啦嚇。
即係中文版嗰個，中文版
嗰個 OK。咁咧就嗰個第7段嗰度咧就講到咧就話，如果呢個機制咧就淨係規定嗰個GSIB 同埋 DSIB 先要遵守呢個呢個規定啦 ，LAC 呢個就會出現咧某銀行倒閉嘅時候，可能需要動用公帑嚟到挽救或者進行清盤嘅情況，以致可能對金融穩定，尤其係對存款人造成極大嘅負面影響。嗱，我覺得呢個呢就唔能夠咁講嘅，主席。點解呢？因為你而家呢個呢係應該咁講。嗱，你前面第6段呢就話我哋呢就係、除咗存款保險之外呢，有啲人唔保到噶嘛，係嘛？咁變咗呢，就嗰啲人都會損失啦，即係冧檔咁。即係如果嗰啲細銀行啦，即係咁講啦嚇，即係唔好意思啊，我用即係大細咁樣意思啦，即係唔係即係唔係嗰啲超級大嗰啲啦。OK。咁但係個問題就係你記住嗰個宗旨呢，由頭到尾呢，我哋唔係喺我哋而家存款保險計劃去擴大。或者我哋咧覺得存款保險計劃就唔夠因為咧有啲存戶咧就係冇得賠即係細銀行倒閉。咁我哋咧就就算世界局勢冇要求我哋做呢啲配合國際嘅嘢咧，我哋自己係加強自己保障自己嘅本地存戶嘅，就費事咧要公帑俾咁。或者咧就加大嗰個徵款嗰啲咁樣嚇，即係存款保險。你完全唔係呢個宗旨，唔係呢個目標嘅。你而家呢個法例咧，就係正真係因為人哋世界大亂啦驚，就然後我哋香港咧都有啲銀行，就其實係喺個世界體系裏邊會影響全世界一齊攬住死嗰啲，即係講得俗啲，就所以咧就要係同世界各個國家司法管轄區嚟到去一齊嚟到去處理一啲如果超級大嗰啲銀行有事嘅時候，我哋呢就香港作為一個負責任嘅國際一員呢，就唔可以置身事外，就一齊做嚟到規管嗰啲大嘅銀行喺香港作為一個運作而影響外地或者影響我哋嘅一個保障一個機制。嗱，記住你個目標一定好清楚呢，我哋係因為呢個嚟立法嘅。如果你話我透過呢個同國際一齊去合作嘅機制，又夾硬再又話，哎呀，不如我哋本地銀行嗰啲小存戶，你而家突然間就好似好擔心嗰啲小存戶就話香港嗰個存款保險就唔夠，所以如果冧咗佢哋都好慘喎咁樣。喂，大佬而家根本就唔係呢個目標嘛。坦白講，亦都個社會亦都冇嗱，我都係一個直選民選議員啦OK， 我冇個社會冇話喂，而家存款保險係100萬好似係嘛？50萬所以50萬，就冇話嗰啲超過50萬嗰啲，仲有我哋係一個銀行50萬喎，即係換句話講，你可以擠10間銀行咁就 OK 咯，咁間都賠50萬咯。即係換句話講咧，就冇個社會好強烈咧，就話喂唔係喎，我哋而家嗰啲存戶超過50萬一間銀行嗰啲咧，就好大嘅 outcry， 即係哇喂你要加強點樣 啊，仲有咧就或者其他嗰啲市民就話：喂，有咩事如果要公帑去救賠俾佢哋，好似唔係好妥喎，好妥喎咁，真就唔係啊！呢個咁嘅社會嘅氣氛都冇，人民冇乜意見，係咪？咁所以你而家突然間好似關心嗰啲存戶，就佢哋又唔係全部受保障。嗱，咁啊仲有你即係大家利是啦，當嗰個小嘅銀行真係大家利是有事嘅時候，你究竟係咪一定要動用公帑去救嗰啲根本就唔影響你香港嗰個金融穩定？即係我講成個香港嘅金融穩定。而當然，因為你有個存款保障啦嘛，咁即係換講個50萬以上嗰啲冇得賠。喂，大佬啊，大家已經係預咗個心理準備，存款嘅時候都係咁諗㗎啦，已經。你而家突然間話50萬零1蚊咁，哎呀嗰1蚊冇啦，咁啊會上街抗議啊，或者點？喂，根本都而家唔係呢個情況啊嘛。咁所以你無端端同我講話會招致香港納稅人，咁你仲有喎？你咁樣講咧，你呢個有個風險危機喎。你明你就話50萬就賠50萬，嗰個夠㗎啦已經，仲有90%幾嘅人都係夠㗎啦嘛，係嘛？你統計㗎嘛？你突然間話唔係㗎，西南銀行冧嘅時候，你超過50萬咧如果冇呢個咧，可能分分鐘我哋要考慮要賠俾佢㗎咁樣，用公帑啊咁。喂，有冇搞錯啊？喂，大佬，喂你咁樣講咧，你知唔知你自己捉蟲啊？有事嘅時候，如果真係有咩事，你唔去救嗰啲細銀行，超過50萬嗰啲，到時我就喂你咁寫喎，大佬我有個合理嘅期望喎，你梗係唔好咁寫啦，真係。喂，50萬就50萬，係嘛？喂，50萬以上就冇㗎啦，咁你要係咁講㗎嘛，大佬係嘛？你自己考慮嗰個銀行嘅穩定性啊，咁樣係嘛？或者你存多幾間，呢個係你自己決定係嘛？你而家突然間咁樣講咧，喂，我覺得你真係你兩邊都唔係人。仲有你根本就唔符合嗰個宗旨，所以主席對唔住，我唔能夠接受呢個 B 呢個你咧就話嗰啲細銀行根本唔影響大局嗰啲咧，你喺呢一個情況之下咧，我覺得係有問題嘅。即係你如果你而家咁樣仲寫埋，你仲搭單寫埋落去，好似好照顧嗰啲50萬以上嘅存款人嘅利益咧，我覺得就更加離譜。對唔住，真係嗱，呢個係我嘅意見，或者睇下你咩回應。
睇下政府當局有冇咩回應啦。即係呢個咧當然係逐條審議之前，但係因為阿涂議員佢頭先冇機會問，咁而家我諗佢補翻問，大家就去照樣去答翻啦，好冇？
多謝議員嘅意見。其實好多議題我哋頭先都已經討論過，而家請Mr. 威好簡單咁 recap 一次嚇。
唔使簡單嘅，你可以詳細嘅。
Thank you, and thank you, Member To, for the additional comments. Certainly, we value sort of the feedback that we've received from members as part of this process, and I guess I'd just like to reiterate one or two points that we've touched on earlier today. In particular, that there's nothing automatic in the LAC rules or the COP that results in imposing requirements on big or small banks. This happens through bilateral resolution planning with individual firms. So the decisions we take here today do not result in an automatic requirement. That comes as part of individual firm discussions. And I think a priority for the MA in resolution planning with individual firms, big or small, reflects his resolution objectives under the FIRO. So protecting financial stability, protecting continuity in the bank's critical financial functions, including access for depositors, and very importantly, minimizing the risk to public funds. So any action that the Monetary Authority takes when a bank fails will be guided by those three really important objectives. And I think there's an important role for the Deposit Protection Scheme, but there's a clear interaction between how resolution applies for banks that might cause systemic risk if they fail, and smaller banks that can be allowed to enter insolvency if they fail and have a deposit protection scheme payment made to the eligible protected depositors. So these are complementary, but I think the key lesson from the financial crisis is that for banks that cause a systemic problem if they are placed into liquidation, there needs to be an orderly resolution for those institutions. So I'll pause there, but I think the key objectives for the Resolution Authority are guided by the resolution in FIRO's resolution objectives.
對啊，我都想講翻咧，頭先其實有好多位委員啦，包括我自己啦、陳健波議員啦、姚思榮議員啦、張華峰議員都表達過，即係金管局如果將呢個概念外延咗呢，我哋都係有啲唔係好同意嘅。咁當然頭先Amen 再答你嗰度呢，你如果有咩你可以 follow up 咯。
知道。嗱，主席，我覺得佢同呢度冇增加到論據嘅。OK 嚇，咁就我頭先嗰個論據呢，我仍然認為如果你中意，你可以繼續呢係用書面睇下你揾唔揾到個論據答我嗰個。OK， 但係如果你認為呢個書面加埋頭先嗰個就係咁多噶啦咁樣，咁我可以話俾你聽呢，我係反對呢個嘅。OK， 我會用盡力嚟到反對呢個嘢通過嘅。咁當然有人就話：喂，咁你反對啲咁嘅大嗰啲，咪冇得搞咁樣。嗱，你記住，呢個係均真呢，就係話原本我通過呢個例呢，係基礎就係話你話，因為世界有個公約，我哋唔做呢唔得嘅，因為始終香港係金融中心。但係嗰個概念呢，就唔係話我哋搞嗰啲細嘅，而係嗰啲大嘅影響埋人哋啊，或者人哋嗰啲超級大嘅喺我哋香港有運作，而會影響到全局。我係用呢個基礎之下呢，通過原本嘅法例嘅。如果你而家係搞下就搞到連嗰啲細都搞嘅呢，對唔住，我根本如果你由一開始嘅時候話俾我聽係咁樣，你當然可能嗰陣時唔係咁清楚。但係如果你而家睇到細嗱，所以嗰陣時點解我係叫你攞埋啲 draft through 我先通過大嗰個嘅？你記唔記得啊？我同你開會，你就話：喂，你信我啦，我哋而家係做大嗰啲嘅咋。你係咁講㗎當時。我話當時如果你細嗰啲，你嗰啲規則唔攞嚟呢，我今日大嗰度唔會通過你嘅。但係你而家睇清楚啦，原來你真係會咁搞嘅，你根本就違反原本嘅目標。對唔住啊，我唔能。如果嗱，我俾個機會你，你仲可以。如果有進一步論據，你可以話俾我聽。但係如果你就先你話，喂，我又嗱，你兩點啫，一來你顧及嗰啲小存戶，喂，50萬以上叫小存戶啊，我唔敢講啦。可能而家即係錢多咗，50萬叫好窮啊！咩窮人一物就500萬上車盤叫窮人一物啊嘛，大佬係嘛？咁但係對我嚟講，喂，大佬啊，你個 scheme 一路，如果你加你就自己冇呢個都好，你加50萬加到70萬、80萬，你同我講就我哋因為 domestic 嘅本地嘅原因，但係就唔係因為我哋無端端喺國際，我哋需要嗰啲大銀行嘅所謂叫 systematic failure 系統性嘅失誤咧，有機會咧影響全球一齊冧。咁大家 hold 住頂住個莊，咁所以你而家暗度陳倉就夾硬搞埋啲細嘅咧，對唔住，一鋪還一鋪，你咁樣咧對唔住，唔可能咁嘅。你另外再遲啲你話我劃開咗佢先，如果我真係覺得50萬要加到70萬、80萬，將銀行再立啲徵款或點樣再計過 ，OK， 咁嗰個要全局嚟睇，就唔好根據呢度咧無端端就叫人哋股東咧突然間有一個咁樣，即係我覺得呢個唔係我可以接受嘅精神，亦都我原本嘅法例裏邊咧嗰個精神都唔係咁嘅，你唔係咁同我講嘅，我相信你同其他同事都唔係咁講嘅 ，OK， 咁啊，主席我可以話subject to佢再有冇進一步嘅文件或者論據，否則嘅咧，主席我堅決係反對呢個法例嘅。
好，我諗陶議員個即係立場，大家好清楚㗎啦。咁至於頭先我諗陶議員講咗一點咧，就係話喺嗰個第7段裏邊呢，就嗰度變咗有雙重意義嗰度呢，麻煩你哋呢都可以就呢一點，即係俾翻一個書面嘅回應佢啊，好唔好啊？即係其實俾我哋小組委員會啦，其實唔係話俾阿陶議員啦，俾翻我哋小組委員會咧，就係in response to 佢頭先嗰個一個 issue 嘅係啦。咁我哋呢度繼續可以進行我哋嘅審議先啦。Robert 唔該。
Sure, thank you. So moving on to Part 7, this sets out provisions about the enforcement of the LAC requirements. Division 1, Rule 60, provides that an entity that is subject to a requirement under the rules must notify the resolution authority if that entity fails to comply or becomes aware that it is likely to fail to comply with the requirement. Division 2 of this part deals with remedial actions. Rule 61 empowers the resolution authority to require an entity that contravenes the rules to take specified remedial action to remedy that contravention. And Rule 62 sets out the procedure for requiring remedial action, including the rights of the entity to apply for a review of the resolution authority's decision to require remedial action by the Resolvability Review Tribunal. Part 8 then sets out the mechanics for a review of reviewable decisions by the Resolvability Review Tribunal. Rule 63 sets out the procedure for a relevant entity's application to the tribunal for a review of a reviewable decision made by the resolution authority. And Rule 64 sets out the tribunal's powers and procedure on a review of a reviewable decision. That brings us on to the schedules, and I don't propose to go into these in any more detail, other than just to repeat that, as mentioned earlier, Schedule 1 sets out qualifying criteria for external LAC instruments. Schedule 2 sets out qualifying criteria for internal LAC debt instruments. And Schedule 3 and 4 provide more detail on deductions in the calculation of external and internal loss-absorbing capacity. Mr. Chairman, that's all.
Okay.
Can I raise one very general question? So obviously, all these need a lot of compliance resources and time and training as well. And generally speaking, my impression is that, well, as solicitors and practicing accountant, I guess they may not be able to grasp all these intricacies in one go or shortly. Can the Bureau inform us, or this subcommittee, what sort of training or assistance will you be giving to the compliance team in general? I mean, of the authorized institutions. Are there any, updates or seminars or other professional trainings which you could give to the industry in general on all these requirements? That's my question. I mean, it doesn't necessarily restrict it to the LAC requirement at the moment, because obviously there are more newer regulations coming up, and I'm just generally aware that there's a general fatigue amongst the compliance people. Not just in the banking sector, in the insurance sectors, in the security sector. I mean, this is really a big problem because of more and more and newer regulations and the time, the short time frame within which you need to learn all these skills and do the compliance. So that is a bigger question for the Bureau to address. Thank you.
張秘書長，你想回答定係想金管局？
我諗金管局同事可以講講，即係佢哋即係針對呢個 LAC requirement 對業界嗰個專業嗰個要求嗰個理解啦。咁另外就喺政府層面，其實我哋當然一路都好關注專業服務嗰個係咪足夠，係咪可以維持香港不嬲即係一路金融中心、專業服務中心嘅呢個地位。咁我哋係好重視呢啲意見，我哋亦都同議員保持即係恆常嘅溝通。如果有即係特別邊一個範疇議員係認為政府喺邊一方面需要加強嘅話，我哋亦都歡迎呢啲意見嘅。多謝。好。
Sure. So the HKMA has a regular dialogue with banking sector practitioners, including INEDs and banking practitioners at a more general level. So, for example, annually there's a regulators dialogue between the HKMA and banking sector practitioners, in which several hundred banking practitioners receive a briefing from the HKMA. So last year, resolution and loss absorbing capacity was a feature of that briefing, and actually this year in December the HKMA will be hosting another regulators dialogue with several hundred banking sector practitioners from Hong Kong, focused explicitly on loss absorbing capacity requirements. In addition to that, I think the role of the code of practice is important for supporting industry's understanding of often quite technical rules. And then finally, I think I really emphasize the role of resolution planning between the HKMA and individual firms. I think a major component of that initial phase of bilateral planning is developing a shared understanding of the resolution strategy and individual requirements. So, for example, with institutions this year, particularly DSIBs, the HKMA will have regular dialogue and meetings, maybe once a month, once every 2 months, with their counterparts in the institutions who are responsible for delivering the resolution requirements. So loss-absorbing capacity has been a big feature of our dialogue this year on a bilateral basis. And that's business as usual for us. And that dialogue on a case-by-case basis is, in a way, a main part of our day-to-day work.
So one more question.
Okay, sure.
Now, Justin and I was talking about the frontline compliance people. Obviously, the INEDs of authorized institutions are the gatekeepers as well. And I'm quite worried that we do not in Hong Kong will have enough people like the Honourable Mr. Chan, very qualified people, to be sitting on the boards of these AIs. And what assistance have you been giving to the INEDs in overseeing the operations of these AIs? And when you approve the INEDs for AIs, honestly, I think you have to tell the subcommittee what is your general feeling about the qualities of INEDs of AIs in this city? Thank you.
I think the latter questions is rather difficult to answer, but at least you have to share with Honourable, Kenneth Leung, what you have been done to inform the INED in relation to latest regulatory requirement, so on and so forth.
So, thank you. So I'll speak to resolution rather than wider HKMA regulatory requirements.
Well, you can address both because everything is important to us, I think.
So there's obviously, as you know, there's a supervisory approval process around the appointment of INEDs, and that's led by my supervisory colleagues. So there is a process there. On resolution, we have been engaging with INEDs in Hong Kong. So earlier this year, there would have been a senior level engagement by the HKMA representatives and bank INEDs in Hong Kong focused explicitly on resolution. And we will look to continue investing in our relationship with Hong Kong bank INEDs because they play a very important role in advancing, ensuring that banks are able to comply with these requirements, but also oversee. So we see that as a very important relationship for us. So we will continue that relationship specifically on resolution. We will definitely commit to that.
Right. Can you answer the second question? I mean, when an AI appoints INEDs, they need your approval, right?
Yeah. Interviews
and everything. So very, very stringent criteria. And what's the general feel? I mean, do you have a very high rejection rate? I don't need you to give me a figure, but generally, what is the general feeling?
So, frankly, we're representatives from the resolution office, and we're responsible for resolution issues.
Okay.
The process that you're talking about is a supervisory issue, and is led by my banking supervisory colleagues. So we're not party.
But can the Bureau give me a written reply if it's appropriate? This one is.
So we'll be happy to take
Okay.
the question back to the HKMA and ask them to give you a written reply.
OK， sure。仲有冇其他問題？冇咧，我想法律顧問其實曾經提出過一個觀點，需要seek clarification。咁亦都當局亦都有個 response，就話問過呢個法律草語嗰邊咧，就覺得冇需要。咁我想呢度咧，可唔可以請律政司嗰度將我哋法律顧問嘅問題同埋你哋嘅答案喺呢度都講一講啊？唔該。
多謝主席。法律顧問嗰個問題就係話嗰個reviewable decision 喺呢個第29B 同埋第62.5條嗰度需唔需要列出晒3個出嚟？咁我哋嘅意見就係喺9B 嗰度咧，其實已經寫得好清楚，同埋喺62.5嗰度亦都寫得好清楚，就唔需要再作咩進一步嘅澄清同埋修訂㗎啦。
我想睇法律顧問對於律政司嗰邊嘅答案，你有冇補充？冇補充。OK。咁我哋呢邊嘅即係問題，我睇下大家仲有冇？ 冇呢，我想講呢，我哋今日就完成咗逐條審議嘅工作啦。咁我已經喺2018年11月22日嘅立法會上邊呢，就動議咗個議案呢，將呢個規則嘅審議限期呢，就延展到2018年12月12號嘅。咁我想睇下委員有冇喺呢度想提出修訂案。如果有或者冇都好啦，咁個限期呢，其實就係今年嘅12月5號。咁我會喺今個禮拜五，即係11月30號呢，向內務委員會呢就口頭匯報我哋小組委員會嘅審議結果。亦都會將當然有啲委員嘅意見呢，我亦都喺嗰度反映啦。咁希望政府當局呢，今日有兩個問題係希望書面回應嘅。第一個就係涂謹申委員嘅一個意見啦。第二個就係我諗梁繼昌委員頭先都提咗一個關於獨立非執行董事嘅一個情況啦，或者點樣可以支援佢哋嘅一個。咁希望你哋亦都俾出一個書面意見。咁就大家有冇其他事項？冇嘅話就多謝晒大家今日參加。咁亦都多謝政府當局嘅代表嚇，辛苦晒大家，唔該晒。